Hello everyone, this time I'm going to talk about the stupid old airplane on a conveyor belt riddle, which may have been fun or interesting at first, but I might have at some point lost my temper with humans of the internet. I hope I will resist putting profanities into the title of this video. Uh, the riddle goes as this. There's an airplane, usually it's a Boeing 747, but really it could be any airplane, airliner, not necessarily an airliner, any airplane except probably a VTOL, and it's sitting on a giant conveyor belt that more or less resembles a runway, and the conveyor belt is set to match the speed of the wheels. Note the very unclear formulation here. The question is, can the airplane take off or not? And yes, it can. There are different interpretations of the ambiguous formulation of matching the speed of the wheels. Now, first there's the idea that the conveyor belt is just running along with the plane, so the wheels don't actually spin at all. In this case, the airplane will, of course, easily take off. The wings only need air to stream around them, and the tail fins also need air to stream around them, so that the airplane can take off. The engines provide the thrust to move the airplane forward. Air streams around the wing. The conveyor belt may take a little bit of air with it. That's aerodynamics. If you simplify it, air kind of sticks to surfaces. Like, for example, if there's a wind outside, the wind speed a few millimeters above the ground will always be really close to zero. And if you go higher up to 1 meter, 2 meter, there you have the wind speed you usually feel when you go outside. And then if you go even higher up, you get closer to the actual meteorological wind speed. And similar, air kind of sticks to every surface. So with the conveyor belt moving, right at the conveyor belt, the air will be kind of moving along with it. Above the conveyor belt, it will start calming down at the height of the wings and stabilizes. The air would hardly be moving at all. It may move a little bit. The airplane may experience a slight tailwind, which isn't really great. It means that it needs to go a little bit faster to take off because it needs that relative speed to the air. But it takes off quite easily. Now, the other common interpretation is that the conveyor belt moves backwards, matching the speed of the wheels, so the plane can't move forwards, which is complete nonsense because the wheels in an airplane are free spinning. An airplane does not accelerate by using a motor in its wheel, but by using the engine, and all that matters is the air being sucked into the engine and pushed back, and Newton's third law. There are a few experimental aircraft that had electric motors in their wheels for taxiing more efficiently and easily, but those are then disconnected for takeoff and landing because at that high speed the electric motor would no longer really provide any benefit. So the conveyor belt might spin back and forth as it will, but the airplane won't be slowed down by that at all. Now, the way friction works in an approximation is that no matter how fast the belt moves, it can only slow down the plane with the same amount of force as if the plane was just taking off from a normal runway. So there's really no way for the conveyor belt to stop the plane. Now, this is obviously a hypothetical conveyor belt. It's kind of a paradox because there's no way for the conveyor belt to stop the plane, so in order to match the speed of the wheels, the conveyor belt would have to speed up, but then the wheels would be spinning faster, so it would have to keep spinning up. So really the premise of the question doesn't work in the first place. Now, the only way for the conveyor belt to really stop the plane would be to spin so fast that the landing gear gets completely destroyed. which of course is impossible with any conveyor belt that we can build, because that conveyor belt would also have to be built out of a material that we don't really have. Uh, and even if it spin fast enough to completely destroy the landing gear, then the air sticking to the conveyor belt might actually be fast enough for the airplane to take off, depending on aircraft type and weather situation. It's relatively easy for too fast rolling on the runway to blow a tire, but to actually destroy the wheel completely, which would be necessary to completely prevent the aircraft from taking off, that would probably take speeds somewhere close to the speed of sound. And that's quite unrealistic for any conveyor belt to actually reach. And it seems quite hard to understand for some people that no, what happens to the wheels does not matter to the acceleration of the plane. They're just free spinning. I'll probably manage to show you in a little animation here that if the plane moves forward relative to the ground, it gets a little bit of braking force. If the plane moves backwards, it gets a little bit of forward force, but no matter how fast it goes or what the conveyor belt does, the wheels would just spin free, and it doesn't really need the wheels to accelerate. It might as well use skids, like planes landing on ice, or floaters like planes landing in water, and no matter what actually the landing surface does. It's a little different for floaters, because there you have aquadynamic, fluid dynamic drag. That's a little bit more complicated. But for a ground-based airplane, it doesn't matter what the ground does. The only way for the conveyor belt to actually stop the plane from safely taking off is if it were be going sideways. Because the wheels of an airplane are free spinning, but they can only move backwards and forwards and steer left-right, but they can't move plane sideways. So in that case, if it matched the speed of the wheels, the plane would move forward at a 45-degree angle, which would essentially mean taking off in crosswinds at a wind speed equivalent to the takeoff speed of the airplane, which is not rated as safely and probably completely impossible for most airplane types. So that's the only way the conveyor belt might actually stop a plane from taking off, but that is not really to be interpreted into that question. So, no, finally, the plane can take off no matter what the conveyor belt does. I hope this was kind of interesting, or at least a little bit of a clarification or rant. I'm still open for all kinds of requests or suggestions, and thanks for watching.